Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and it's time for our Monday art lesson. And now we're continuing on with anatomy. Last week we worked on the torso for male and female. So we're going to do another part of the body this week. So I hope you practice the torso, because what your goal is when you're all done is to kind of fit all of this together to start drawing the entire body. So we're going to focus on the arms this week. So not so much the hands, but the arms itself. Okay. So when you draw the arms, it's essentially the same process, right? We want to start thinking about the muscle groups. Okay. So if we come through and we start thinking, let's do this. I'm going to do a front view and a back view. So if we think about the muscle group, right? We're going to start first with the shoulder. Now, there are, three major muscles that work into the shoulder. But for this one in particular, we're just going to break it down on a more shape scale for doing things. So like, see how we have this curve here in the shoulder? Well, that's about the area that our bicep comes in. Okay, so our bicep is that big muscle. When you flex your arm, it makes that little ball shape, okay? Now we do have a tiny bit of ligament here, but then off to the side we have what's called a tricep, which is that back muscle of the arm that comes off. Okay, so again, you can look up pictures of the arm. Now we're going to extend this bicep down just a little bit. But you can look up muscular pictures of the arms, or just people who have muscles and just large pictures of that arms, and you can learn to kind of build these shapes that way. So we're going to kind of come down here. The forearm likes to wrap around the wrist, right? So we kind of get that bulge in the forearm right here. And again, that kind of wraps down towards the front. And then we have a smaller piece that kind of wraps in between that, coming down to the wrist as well. And then we have an even smaller portion here at the elbow, and it only looks small from this side because it's what we can see from the front. So kind of getting used to picturing how those things look will help out. Now, other things to keep in mind too is, and I still tend to this day kind of mess up on that, is the length of the forearm itself. I mean, it could technically probably stretch down just a little bit farther down into the wrist, okay? And then, of course, down in here, we're just going to have, and like I said, we're not going to focus on the hand today, but I'm just going to put a hand in here just so you have an idea of where it's connecting at on the hand. And that could probably be a little bit bigger, but like I said, our focus is the arm. So that's what our arm looks like from the front. Well, the shoulders, so we're going to write front right here. And again, with practice, you'll get this part down to start looking, the same, everything's the same size going across the board. So now we're going to work on the back view. So that shoulder tends to wrap around into the back, and then taking the shape of that latissimus muscle, your back muscle right here. Okay, and then we can see more of that tricep. So now there's technically 3 heads or muscles to the tricep, but if we just kind of look at the shape of it, we kind of get this arched ball right here, and then the rest of that muscle extends down the arm. Along the back, okay? So from there, what we can do is we end up seeing a small amount of the bicep on the front, and that kind of extends down. into here. Okay, and then we have that long forearm slash, it's really your bone that kind of comes down that way. So you can kind of think of it like extending the arm down. And then we would see the bulging part of the forearm on this side. As well as over here, we would have the other bone that's running right next to it. And that leading out into the other forearm. So again, when we start breaking things down by shape, we can start building things up. Now, again, I'm kind of shortening, and it's just because it's a bad habit of mine, the forearm, so we probably want to extend that down a little bit more. And then again, that would just be connected to the hand itself. And I know that's only like 4 fingers, but you get the idea. The main focus here today is the arms. So we're just going to go ahead and write back. So that's the front of the arm, we got the back of the arm. Now that leaves one other space, and that is the side of the arm itself. Okay. So now if we turn and look sideways, we're going to take that shoulder muscle down. And it's more rounded. So you imagine it kind of wraps around, so we're going to have a little bit more width to it. Again, with our bicep kind of starting up here high on the shoulder. And that just simply rounding down. Okay. So if you ever notice, like if you look at like Dragon Ball characters and stuff, they have this line right here that kind of defines the bicep. It's kind of the same deal with that. So that's where they get these from. You go in and you start erasing out the things that you don't need anymore. Now we're going to see a lot more of this ligament here in between, separating us from, again, that tricep. If we kind of curve that and then extend that down, right? So now in between here, I can start rounding that forearm down. Again, we're just breaking down each individual muscle group. We have a slight gap in the wrist right here. And that comes over and causes us to round out again into another forearm being wrapped around the muscle, okay? Now again, this isn't the most glamorous thing, you know, you want to kind of just always just jump right into doing whatever, but this is very beneficial to you starting to see these shapes and how they wrap around, right? So again, this is kind of the side view. Leads down into a hand. And we'll just draw a hand in here just for the sake of having a hand. Doesn't have to be anything serious. This is your focus right here, is into that muscle. Okay? So we're going to say this is the side view. And what happens is after you practice this a bunch, okay, you can start seeing the lines, right? So if I wanted to draw the same picture again, well, now I can just draw out the major features of those individual muscles. Okay, so I'm still, think of it kind of like you're still drawing the outside shape of it, but then we're just kind of defining the major attributes that we want to see. Okay, so I'm not adding all the detail, but now I can see all those shapes that go into making those parts of the arm. So like this comes down into the elbow, and I get a little bit of that forearm shape right into here, and then again that comes down into the hand. Again, we're not drawing a super detailed hand, but you get the idea. That'll then help you be able to start labeling that stuff out in your own way. So like even here I could see I could probably adjust that better and make that a little bit thinner. Again, once you start seeing those shapes, it becomes a little bit easier to start drawing the arm. Now in the case of a female arm, right? So we're going to say we're going to call this male. In the case of a female arm, we're going to do, now unless they're muscular, okay, so keep that in mind. There are muscular women that like to work out, but if we're just talking your basic female arm, our muscle groups are going to be a lot smaller with a lot less definition to them. So we're still going to see things like the shape of the shoulder, right? We're still going to see spots where the forearm connects, but again, we're thinking along more thinner lines when we draw it. So things are going to get just reduced down a little bit. So where things would probably be more rounded, it's going to be slightly different. I'm sorry, I'm not really sure what I was doing there. Just trying to draw some simple fingers. Okay, so again, we're just going to draw a quick little cartoony hand because that's not what we're focused on. But that just goes down into the hand there. So then we have a female, so just a little bit smaller. Now again, if they are a muscular female, you can add just as much definition here, but I would still slim it up unless they're like some big hulking Amazon, person. So what you want to do next is you want to start thinking about how the muscles move and contract, right? So for instance, if we have like a flexing muscle, then you can start practicing again the whole shape itself and building out that flexing muscle, right? Okay, and we would have our chest would kind of come out there, and then we would have our tricep shape right in here. We would have our forearm would be crossing in front of the bicep. Like that. And then we would have a small bit of our forearm / bone muscle coming up through there, and that's kind of like where your elbow would connect. So that would just run down into the arm. Then we would have our other forearm right inside here, and that again leading into a hand of some kind, right? So that's our muscle flexing, right? And then you could take from there and kind of bend down the arm. So work on, flexing the muscles in different directions. Also work on just kind of, once you get those muscle groups down, building out those shapes that are going to help you define your arm. And you'll see once you get used to it, like really start, breaking down those muscles, it'll become a lot easier for you to start building out your arms. And you can just keep designing, different positions and things like that. And when we get into dynamic poses, I'll start showing you like the foreshortening and stuff like that. And then you could do, even little things to kind of help define, your triceps, just picking up those different areas of the arm. So this would be like the arms kind of twisted away from us. So again, our bicep and triceps are being defined. And we come down into our forearms. This goes down into our wrists. And again, you can add as little or as much detail as needed to help you define those different things. Okay, so again, just start with your muscle groups, right? Building up those shapes, front, back, and side. Then see if you can start breaking down, not having the muscles in there. Same thing, you want to practice some female arms. Look up muscular women, and see how theirs is more shaped maybe differently. Work on, flexing the muscles and bending them and doing different things. And again, once you have those shapes down in your head and you can start getting those rough outlines, you can start designing arms however, okay? So this is part 2 of our anatomy lesson. That's going to do it for today. Let me know what you think down in the video, or if there's anything else you struggle with. I will make sure to make a video on it. You guys help me out. I really need comments and things to let me know how I'm doing, what you want to see, what you're struggling with. It really, really helps me guide the channel to what you want. Not what I want to draw, but what you want to see and what you want to learn, okay? So other than that, have a wonderful day. Remember to keep sketching. Remember to practice. And I'll see you in the next one, all right? Bye.